Gamete formation and fertilization in mammals. Gamete formation in mammals involves the process of meiosis, where diploid cells divide into haploid cells. In males, this results in the production of sperm cells in the testes, while in females, it leads to the development of eggs in the ovaries. During fertilization, a haploid sperm from the male fuses with a haploid egg from the female, resulting in the formation of a diploid zygote. This process typically occurs in the fallopian tube of the female reproductive system. The fertilized egg then undergoes a process of cell division and differentiation, ultimately forming an embryo that will continue to develop into a fetus and eventually a fully formed offspring. Gametogenesis. Gametogenesis is the process by which gametes, sperm and eggs, are produced in the body. In mammals, gametogenesis occurs through the process of meiosis, which involves 2 rounds of cell division resulting in the production of haploid cells from diploid cells. In males, gametogenesis occurs in the testes and is known as spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis produces 4 genetically distinct sperm cells from 1 diploid germ cell. In females, gametogenesis occurs in the ovaries and is known as oogenesis. Oogenesis results in the production of 1 functional haploid egg cell and 2 non-functional polar bodies, from 1 diploid germ cell. Both spermatogenesis and oogenesis are regulated by hormones, and abnormalities in these processes can lead to infertility or other reproductive disorders. Spermatogenesis. Spermatogenesis is the process of formation of sperm cells from diploid germ cells in the seminiferous tubules of the testes in males. It is a continuous process and takes place throughout the reproductive life of a male. The process of spermatogenesis involves a series of cell divisions, including the first division of the diploid germ cell to form 2 haploid daughter cells called secondary spermatocytes. These secondary spermatocytes then undergo a second meiotic division to form 4 haploid spermatids. These spermatids then differentiate into mature sperm cells, called spermatozoa. During differentiation, the spermatids undergo structural changes and acquire the specific features of a mature sperm. These features include a head that contains the genetic material, a midpiece consisting of mitochondria for energy production, and a flagellum that allows for motility of the sperm. Spermatogenesis is regulated by the hypothalamus and pituitary gland, which release hormones that stimulate the testes to produce testosterone and other hormones required for spermatogenesis. Abnormalities in spermatogenesis can lead to infertility in males. The sperm. The sperm is the male reproductive cell, which is involved in fertilization of the female egg. The sperm is a tiny, motile cell that consists of 3 parts: the head, midpiece, and tail. The head of the sperm is mostly composed of genetic material DNA, and is covered by a cap, called the acrosome, which contains enzymes that help to penetrate the outer layer of the egg during fertilization. The midpiece of the sperm contains mitochondria, which provide energy for the sperm to move through the female reproductive tract towards the egg. Lastly, the tail of the sperm is a long, whip-like structure that propels the sperm towards the egg through a swimming motion called flagellation. In order to fertilize the egg, the sperm must first navigate through the vaginal canal, cervix, and uterus to reach the fallopian tubes, where the egg is located. Sperm have to overcome several barriers and obstacles during this journey, and only a small fraction of the sperm released during ejaculation will reach the egg. Once the sperm reaches the egg, it must penetrate the outer layer of the egg and fuse with the egg's plasma membrane, releasing its genetic material to form a zygote, which will eventually develop into a fetus. Parts of the sperm. A sperm cell, also known as spermatozoon, is composed of 3 main parts. 1. Head. The head of the sperm is oval-shaped and contains most of the genetic material DNA required for fertilization. The head is covered by the acrosome, a structure that contains enzymes that help the sperm penetrate the outer membrane of the egg. 2. Midpiece. The midpiece lies between the head and the tail of the sperm and is packed with mitochondria. Mitochondria are responsible for producing ATP, which provides energy for the sperm to move through the female reproductive tract. 3. Tail. The tail is the long, slender, and whip-like structure that propels the sperm forward through a swimming motion called flagellation. The tail is made up of microtubules, which are responsible for the beating motion that propels the sperm towards the egg. The structure of a sperm allows it to move efficiently through the female reproductive tract to reach and fertilize the egg. Only a very small fraction of the millions of sperm released during ejaculation will reach the egg, and the structure of the sperm plays a crucial role in this process. Adaptations of the sperm. Sperm cells have several adaptations that allow them to effectively carry out their function of fertilizing an egg. Some of these adaptations include 1. Streamlined shape. The streamlined shape of the sperm allows it to move more efficiently through the female reproductive tract, reducing drag and increasing speed. 2. Flagellum. The tail of the sperm, also known as the flagellum, is responsible for its motility. The flagellum allows the sperm to propel itself towards the egg through a whip-like motion. 3. Mitochondria. Sperm cells contain a large number of mitochondria, which provide energy for the sperm to swim towards the egg. 4. Acrosome. The acrosome is a cap-like structure at the head of the sperm that contains enzymes. These enzymes help the sperm penetrate the outer layer of the egg during fertilization. 5. Small size. Sperm cells are very small, which allows for a large number of them to be produced and released during ejaculation. These adaptations allow sperm cells to be highly specialized for their function of fertilizing an egg. Sperm cells face numerous obstacles and barriers in their journey towards the egg, and these adaptations help to maximize their chances of successfully fertilizing the egg. Adaptations of the male reproductive system. The male reproductive system has several adaptations that enable it to produce and deliver sperm effectively. These adaptations include 1. Testes. The testes are the primary male reproductive organs, responsible for producing sperm and testosterone. The testes are located outside of the body in the scrotum, which keeps them cooler than body temperature, enabling proper sperm production. 2. Epididymis. The epididymis is a coiled tube that connects the testes to the vas deferens. The epididymis enables the storage and maturation of sperm before they are released during ejaculation. 3. Vas deferens. The vas deferens is a muscular tube that transports sperm from the epididymis to the prostate gland. 4. Prostate gland. The prostate gland secretes a thick, alkaline fluid that neutralizes the acidic vaginal environment and provides nutrients for the sperm. 5. Seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicles secrete a fluid that contains fructose, a sugar that provides energy for the sperm. 6. Bulbourethral glands. The bulbourethral glands secrete a clear, lubricating fluid that occurs before ejaculation. These adaptations allow the male reproductive system to produce and deliver sperm to the female reproductive tract effectively. The various structures work together to ensure that sperm are produced, stored, and transported to the site of fertilization. Oogenesis. Oogenesis refers to the process of female gamete or egg cell formation in the ovary. The process begins before birth, where oogonia or immature egg cells undergo several mitotic divisions and transform into primary oocytes. The primary oocytes are arrested in the prophase stage of the first meiotic division until a female reaches puberty, with a finite number estimated between 1 and 2 million. During each menstrual cycle, one primary oocyte is stimulated to resume division, completing the first meiotic division producing 2 haploid cells. While the secondary oocyte receives all cytoplasmic material as well as organelles, the polar body, which carries tiny amounts of cytoplasm, is formed by the remaining set of chromosomes that are discarded out. If the secondary oocyte is fertilized by a sperm, it then completes the second meiotic division producing an ovum, and another polar body is discarded out while the ovum has the remainder of the cytoplasm and all critical organelles get transported from it. If fertilization doesn't take place, the secondary oocyte undergoes apoptosis and disintegrates. Graafian follicles. Graafian follicles are specialized structures found within the ovaries of female mammals. They are formed during the process of folliculogenesis, which involves the growth and maturation of ovarian follicles that contain the eggs or oocytes. Graafian follicles are the largest and most mature type of ovarian follicles, typically measuring between 19 and 24 millimeters in diameter. They are visible to the naked eye as fluid-filled sacs that bulge out from the surface of the ovary. Inside the Graafian follicle, the oocyte is surrounded by a cluster of granulosa cells that secrete estrogen, a hormone that is essential for the development of secondary sexual characteristics and the preparation of the uterus for pregnancy. Just before ovulation, the Graafian follicle ruptures and releases the mature oocyte into the fallopian tube where it may be fertilized by sperm. If fertilization does not occur, the remaining follicle cells in the ovary become the corpus luteum, which secretes progesterone to prepare the uterus for possible implantation of the fertilized egg. The ovum. The ovum, also known as the egg cell, is the female gamete or reproductive cell that is necessary for sexual reproduction in humans and other mammals. It is formed through the process of oogenesis, which takes place in the ovary. The ovum is a single, large cell that is round or oval in shape, with a diameter of about 0.1 millimeters. It contains a haploid nucleus, which means that it has half the number of chromosomes as compared to other cells in the body. In humans, the ovum has 23 chromosomes. The ovum is surrounded by a protective layer called the zona pellucida. It also has a number of small projections called cumulus cells, which help to nourish and protect the developing ovum during its journey through the fallopian tube. If the ovum is fertilized by a sperm cell, it will divide and develop into an embryo, which will eventually implant in the uterus and continue to develop into a fetus. If the ovum is not fertilized within 24 hours of ovulation, it will degenerate and be shed along with the uterine lining during menstruation. Structure of an ovum. The structure of an ovum or egg cell is composed of the following parts. 1. Cell membrane, a thin, flexible layer that surrounds and protects the cell. 2. Zona pellucida, a thick, transparent membrane that surrounds the cell membrane. It is made up of glycoproteins and helps to protect the ovum and regulate entry of substances into the cell. 3. Cytoplasm, the jelly-like substance that fills the cell and contains various organelles and molecules required for the egg cell's functioning. 4. Nucleus, the central part of the ovum containing the genetic material, including chromosomes and DNA. 5. Follicle cells, these cells surround and support the developing ovum in the ovarian follicle. They provide nutrients and hormones to support the growth and maturation of the egg cell. 6. Microvilli, small, finger-like projections on the surface of the ovum that help to increase its surface area, facilitating nutrient uptake and sperm binding. 7. Polar body, a small, non-functional cell that forms during oogenesis, which separates from the ovum after meiosis I and contains the extra set of chromosomes. Overall, the structure of an ovum is adapted for fertilization and embryonic growth, with specific molecular mechanisms and protective barriers designed to promote these processes. Ovulation. Ovulation is the process in which a matured egg or ovum is released from the ovary into the fallopian tube, where it may be fertilized by a sperm cell. In human females, ovulation occurs approximately once per menstrual cycle, typically between day 11 and 21 of a 28-day cycle. During ovulation, hormonal changes trigger the release of the matured ovum from its surrounding follicle in the ovary. The ovum, along with surrounding cumulus cells, is released into the fallopian tube, where it may travel towards the uterus or be fertilized by sperm, resulting in pregnancy. The ovulation process is regulated by a complex interaction between hormones, including follicle-stimulating hormone FSH, luteinizing hormone LH, estradiol, and progesterone. The rise and fall of these hormones cause changes in the ovarian follicle that eventually lead to ovulation. Factors that can affect ovulation include hormonal imbalances, stress, illness, certain medications, and age. Irregular ovulation can also occur in conditions such as polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, which can lead to difficulties with fertility. Ovulation can be predicted by monitoring changes in body temperature, cervical mucus, and hormone levels, or by using ovulation predictor kits. Understanding ovulation is important for those trying to conceive, as it can help identify the time when a woman is most fertile. Menstruation. Menstruation, also known as a period, is a regular monthly biological process that occurs in females of reproductive age. Menstruation happens when the lining of the uterus, called the endometrium, sheds and exits the body through the vagina. This process is controlled by hormones and typically lasts between 3 and 7 days. The menstrual cycle is a complex process that is regulated by the interaction of various hormones, including estrogen, progesterone, follicle-stimulating hormone FSH, and luteinizing hormone LH. The cycle can vary from person to person but usually lasts between 21 to 35 days. During the menstrual cycle, an egg is released from the ovary during ovulation. If the egg is not fertilized, the uterus sheds its lining of blood, mucus, and tissue, which is then expelled from the body through the cervix and vagina. Common symptoms of menstruation include cramping, bloating, mood changes, breast tenderness and fatigue, among others. These symptoms can vary in intensity and can be managed through various means like pain medication, hormonal birth control, exercise, and self-care practices. Understanding menstruation is important for maintaining reproductive health, as abnormal menstrual patterns can be indicative of underlying health issues such as polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, thyroid dysfunction, premature ovarian failure, etc. Regular menstrual cycles enable women to plan for their reproductive health and can aid in the timely detection and management of certain health issues. Menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is the regular repeating process that occurs in the female reproductive system, typically lasting between 21 to 35 days with an average of 28 days. It is controlled by the interaction of various hormones, including estrogen, progesterone, follicle-stimulating hormone FSH, and luteinizing hormone LH. The cycle can be divided into different phases, including 1. Menstrual phase. The first day of bleeding marks the beginning of a new menstrual cycle, lasting typically 7 days. During this time, the uterus sheds its lining, which exits the body as menstrual blood. 2. Follicular phase. This accounts for the first half of the menstrual cycle, or days 1 to 14. During this phase, the hormones FSH stimulates ovary to create a Graafian follicle, which then produces estrogen to thicken the uterine lining. 3. Ovulation. Typically happens in the middle of the menstrual cycle around day 14. The mature egg is released from the ovary and travels down the fallopian tube towards the uterus. 4. Luteal phase. This accounts for the second half of the menstrual cycle, or days 15 to 28. After the egg has been released, the ruptured follicle transformed into a corpus luteum, which continues to release estrogen and progesterone to further thicken the uterine lining for implantation. If the egg is fertilized by a sperm, it implants in the uterus, and pregnancy begins. If the egg is not fertilized, the corpus luteum eventually disintegrates. The resulting drop in hormone levels signals the uterus to shed its lining and begins the next menstrual cycle. Understanding the menstrual cycle is important for reproductive health, as it enables women to track their cycles, detect the fertile window for pregnancy, and any time during the cycle that falls outside of the typical timing may signify hormonal imbalances or underlying health issues that may require further investigation. Factors affecting the onset and duration of menstruation. The onset and duration of menstruation can be affected by several factors, including 1. Age. Menarche, or the onset of menstruation, typically occurs between the ages of 8 to 15 with an average age of 12. Both early and late onset of menarche can affect the regularity of menstrual cycles during puberty. 2. Hormonal imbalances. Hormonal imbalances such as polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, thyroid imbalances, and stress can affect the levels and interactions of the hormones involved in the menstrual cycle. 3. Body weight. Extreme weight loss or gain can also affect the regularity of menstrual cycles. Low body weight, low BMI or eating disorders can lead to irregular or absent periods, while obesity or excess weight can lead to increased estrogen levels leading to heavier or longer menstruation. 4. Medications. Certain medications, such as hormonal birth control methods, anticoagulants, anti-inflammatories, and antidepressants, can alter or affect the regularity and duration of menstrual cycles. 5. Pregnancy and breastfeeding. During pregnancy and breastfeeding, menstruation typically stops due to the hormonal effects of pregnancy and lactation, and may not resume for some months after giving birth. 6. Menopause. With age, the menstrual cycle becomes less regular, and ultimately stops at the onset of menopause, typically around age 51. It's important to maintain a healthy lifestyle, have a healthy weight range, and consult with a healthcare provider about any concerns with the menstrual cycle. Fertilization. Fertilization is the process by which a sperm cell fuses with an egg cell, resulting in the formation of a new individual with a unique combination of genetic material. Fertilization typically occurs in the fallopian tubes, where the mature egg released from the ovary travels towards the uterus, and along the way, it may encounter sperm cells that have traveled from the vagina, through the cervix and into the uterus. The sperm cells move towards the egg using their tail, reaching and penetrating the exterior of the egg to merge with the nucleus of the egg, also called oocyte. Once the sperm nucleus and egg nucleus have united, the fertilized egg develops into a zygote, a single cell that begins to divide into multiple cells, forming an embryo that moves towards the uterus. The cells continue to divide as they progress. Roughly 7 days after fertilization, the embryo reaches the uterus and implants into the lining to start a pregnancy, and the cells continue to divide and differentiate until a full-term baby is born. Fertilization occurs naturally during sexual intercourse, but also can occur through various means of assisted reproductive technology, ART, such as in vitro fertilization (IVF), intracytoplasmic sperm injection, ICSI, or intrauterine insemination (IUI). Understanding the process of fertilization is important for reproductive health and family planning, as it helps individuals and couples time sexual activity for conception and prevent unintended pregnancy. Factors that hinder fertilization. Several factors can hinder fertilization, including 1. Age. Women's fertility declines with age due to a decrease in the number and quality of eggs, and men's sperm count and quality may also decrease as they age, making it more challenging to achieve fertilization. 2. Hormonal imbalances. Hormonal imbalances in both men and women, such as those related to polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, can affect ovulation and sperm production, making fertilization difficult. 3. Structural abnormalities. Structural abnormalities in the reproductive system such as blocked fallopian tubes, endometriosis or fibroids can prevent the egg and sperm from meeting, resulting in failed fertilization. 4. Lifestyle factors. Factors such as smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, poor nutrition, and obesity can also impact fertility in both men and women. 5. Environmental factors. Exposure to environmental hazards such as toxic chemicals, pesticides, radiation, and certain medications can also hinder fertilization. 6. Genetic or chromosomal abnormalities. Genetic or chromosomal abnormalities in either partners can affect the quality or viability of the egg or sperm, making successful fertilization less likely. It's important to identify and address these factors as early as possible in order to improve the chances of successful fertilization, and seeking medical assistance or evaluation from a healthcare provider is recommended for persistent infertility issues. Pregnancy. Pregnancy is a term used to describe the period when a fertilized egg implants in the wall of the uterus and develops into a fetus. Pregnancy lasts roughly 40 weeks, or approximately 9 months, counting from the first day of the last menstrual period. During pregnancy, the fertilized egg forms a placenta that connects to the uterus and provides oxygen and nutrients to the developing fetus. The fetus grows and develops inside the uterus as it is surrounded and protected by amniotic fluid. As the pregnancy progresses, the fetus starts to move and the mother's body undergoes numerous changes to support the baby's development. Pregnancy is typically divided into 3 trimesters, each with different stages of fetal development and changes in the mother's body. During this period, regular prenatal care is necessary to ensure the health and well-being of both the mother and the baby. Medical professionals monitor the pregnancy to detect and treat any health concerns that may arise, and to provide guidance to the mother on healthy behaviors, diet and preparation for childbirth. Pregnancy can bring numerous physical and emotional changes, including morning sickness, fatigue, weight gain, and mood swings. It's important for pregnant women to receive support from partners, family and healthcare providers to help manage these changes. Childbirth generally occurs at the end of the pregnancy, and can take place by vaginal delivery or through a cesarean section, C-section, if necessary. After childbirth, the postpartum period begins, where the mother's body returns to its pre-pregnancy state, and the baby starts adapting to life outside the uterus. Functions of the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord plays a crucial role in fetal development as it serves as a lifeline between the mother and the developing fetus. Its primary functions include 1. Transport of nutrients. The umbilical cord contains blood vessels that connect the fetus to the placenta, allowing the exchange of nutrients and oxygen from the mother's blood to the developing fetus. 2. Removal of waste products. The umbilical cord also carries away waste products including carbon dioxide and other metabolic waste, from the fetus to the mother's bloodstream. 3. Immune defense. The umbilical cord also contains immune cells that can protect the fetus from infections and provide a small amount of protection for the newborn after birth. 4. Hormone production. The umbilical cord and the placenta produce several hormones essential for fetal growth and development, including human chorionic gonadotropin (HCG), estrogens, and progesterone. The umbilical cord is typically clamped and cut shortly after birth, and its remaining stump will dry up, turn black and eventually fall off, a process that usually takes 1-2 weeks. Placenta. The placenta is an organ that develops in the uterus during pregnancy, serving as the connection between the mother and the developing fetus. Its primary functions include 1. Nutrient and gas exchange. The placenta delivers nutrients and oxygen from the mother's blood to the fetus, and removes carbon dioxide and other waste products from the fetal blood. 2. Hormone production. The placenta produces hormones such as human chorionic gonadotropin HCG, estrogen, and progesterone, which are important for maintaining the pregnancy and preparing the mother's body for childbirth. 3. Immune defense. The placenta acts as a barrier, protecting the fetus from infections by preventing most harmful substances and bacteria from crossing into the fetal bloodstream. 4. Waste elimination. The placenta eliminates waste products from the developing fetus. The placenta is attached to the uterine wall and is connected to the developing fetus via the umbilical cord. After childbirth, the placenta is delivered as well, typically within a few minutes to an hour after the baby is born, through a process known as afterbirth. Failure of the placenta to separate and deliver after the birth of the baby is called retained placenta and can cause complications that require medical attention. Placental exchange. Placental exchange refers to the transfer of substances such as oxygen, nutrients, and waste products between the maternal and fetal bloodstreams across the placenta during pregnancy. The placenta acts as a barrier and a selective filter, allowing some substances to pass through into the fetal bloodstream while keeping others out. The placental exchange occurs via the chorionic villi, tiny finger-like projections that extend from the fetal side of the placenta into the maternal blood supply. The villi are surrounded by pools of maternal blood, and thin membrane layers separate the maternal and fetal blood. Oxygen and other nutrients like glucose, amino acids and fatty acids are transported from the maternal blood across the placenta to the fetal blood, providing the developing fetus with the necessary materials for growth and development. Waste products such as carbon dioxide, urea, and other metabolic waste are also transported from the fetal blood to the maternal blood in the placenta. The placental exchange is essential for the healthy development of the fetus, and any disruptions or abnormalities in the exchange process can result in pregnancy complications such as intrauterine growth restriction, IUGR, pre-eclampsia or fetal malnutrition. Amnion. The amnion is a thin, innermost layer of the fetal membrane that surrounds and protects the developing embryo or fetus during pregnancy. It contains a clear, watery fluid called amniotic fluid which acts as a cushion, protecting the fetus from physical shocks or injury, helps maintain a consistent temperature, and allows freedom of movement in utero. The amnion is formed early in pregnancy from two layers of cells, the ectoderm and the somatic mesoderm. These layers temporarily grow together, forming a sac that encloses the embryo, which later becomes the fetus. The amniotic fluid, inside the amniotic sac, is produced by the fetus, including urine and respiratory secretions, and is replaced several times a day. The amnion is an essential structure to ensure the safe development and growth of the fetus. It helps regulate the temperature, protects against mechanical shocks, and prevents the fetus from adhering to the uterine wall. Amniotic fluid also helps the fetus develop proper lung function by allowing the fetus to practice breathing movements before birth. In some cases, defects in the amnion can lead to complications like premature rupture of membranes, PROM, which can cause preterm labor, infection and may require medical intervention to protect the health of mother and baby. Chorion. The chorion is the outermost fetal membrane that surrounds the embryo or fetus during pregnancy. It develops from trophoblast cells, which are the cells that form the placenta, and grows rapidly to envelop the entire embryo, including the amnion. The chorion forms the outermost layer of the fetal part of the placenta, and it is in contact with the maternal womb lining via many chorionic villi that project into the maternal blood supply through which the exchange of nutrients, gas and waste occurs. The chorion also performs several essential functions during pregnancy. It helps to protect and support the developing embryo and fetus, provides a barrier against infections, and provides nutrition to the embryo before the placenta takes over that role. It also produces the hormone human chorionic gonadotropin HCG, which is used to detect pregnancy in home pregnancy tests and plays a role in maintaining the early pregnancy. Abnormalities in the chorion, such as chromosomal or genetic abnormalities, can cause problems for fetal development and pregnancy. For example, a partial or complete absence of the chorion can cause early miscarriage or the development of serious abnormalities. A molar pregnancy, which is a rare type of pregnancy where an abnormal mass of cells develops in the uterus, also involves the chorion and requires special medical management. Allantois. The allantois is a structure that forms from the developing embryo and plays an important role in the development of the urinary bladder and the umbilical cord in mammals, including humans. During fetal development, the structure arises from the embryonic gut, and it extends out and combines with the chorion, forming the umbilical cord. The main function of the allantois is to store and transport waste produced by the developing embryo or fetus, including nitrogenous waste products such as urea and uric acid. These waste products are then transferred to the maternal circulation, where they are eliminated. The allantois also plays a crucial role in the exchange of gases, including oxygen and carbon dioxide, between mother and fetus, which is vital for the proper growth and development of the fetal respiratory system. In some animals such as birds, the allantois is also involved in the formation and development of the eggshell. In humans, however, the allantois is mainly important during fetal development and is no longer needed after birth. In rare cases, abnormalities in the development of the allantois can lead to birth defects, such as bladder exstrophy, a rare condition in which the urinary bladder develops outside of the abdomen, exposed to the air. Gestation. Gestation refers to the period of time during which a mammal, including humans, is pregnant with a developing fetus. In humans, gestation typically lasts around 40 weeks or 9 months, although it can vary slightly depending on various factors such as the age of the mother, health issues, and the sex of the baby. During gestation, the fertilized egg undergoes a series of developmental stages, starting with cell division and moving through the formation of various structures such as the placenta, amniotic sac, and umbilical cord. The fetus also undergoes significant growth and development of all its major organ systems during this period. Gestation is divided into 3 trimesters, with each trimester lasting approximately 3 months. During the first trimester, the fertilized egg implants in the uterus and begins to develop into the embryo. In the second trimester, the embryo develops into a fetus, and the fetus undergoes substantial growth and development. In the third trimester, the fetus continues to grow, and its organs mature in preparation for birth. Throughout gestation, the mother's body undergoes many changes to accommodate the growing fetus. These changes include hormonal changes, weight gain, and fluctuations in blood pressure and blood sugar levels. Regular prenatal care, including checkups with a healthcare provider and appropriate diagnostic testing, can help ensure a healthy pregnancy and delivery. Childbirth. Childbirth, also known as labor and delivery, is the process by which a baby is born. In humans, childbirth typically begins when the fetus has reached full term, which is around 37 to 40 weeks of gestation. The stages of childbirth include 1. Early labor. During this stage, the cervix begins to thin and open up, dilate. Contractions become more frequent and intense, but they are still manageable. 2. Active labor. During this stage, the cervix continues to dilate, and contractions become longer, stronger, and closer together. 3. Transition. During this stage, the cervix fully dilates to 10 centimeters, and contractions are at their strongest and most intense. 4. Delivery. During this stage, the baby is born, usually through the vaginal canal. In some cases, a cesarean section, C-section, may be necessary. After the baby is born, the placenta is delivered, and the mother may experience postpartum bleeding and contractions as the uterus returns to its pre-pregnancy size. Childbirth can be a very intense and painful experience for the mother, but there are many pain management options available, including epidural anesthesia and natural methods like breathing techniques and movement. Close monitoring by healthcare providers can help ensure a safe and healthy labor and delivery for both mother and baby. Induced birth. Induced birth, or induction of labor, is a medical procedure used to artificially start or speed up labor. Induction may be recommended if the mother or baby has a medical condition that poses a risk to their health or if the pregnancy has exceeded a certain point, and natural labor has not begun. Induction of labor can be achieved using various methods, including 1. Membrane stripping. During a vaginal exam, a healthcare provider separates the amniotic sac from the uterine wall to release prostaglandins, hormones that can help trigger contractions. 2. Artificial rupture of membranes. During this procedure, the healthcare provider breaks the amniotic sac, which releases amniotic fluid and often starts labor. 3. Medications. Prostaglandins and oxytocin can be given to the mother to help initiate or strengthen contractions. 4. Mechanical methods. Catheters or balloons can be inserted into the cervix to help it dilate and stimulate contractions. Induction of labor can increase the risk of some complications, including bleeding and fetal distress, and it may also increase the likelihood of interventions such as C-section. Therefore, it is essential to carefully monitor both the mother and baby throughout the procedure to ensure a safe and positive outcome. Caesarean delivery. Caesarean delivery, also known as a C-section, is a surgical procedure in which a baby is delivered through a surgical incision made in the mother's abdomen and uterus. A C-section may be planned in advance or performed as an emergency measure during labor and delivery. Indications for a C-section may include 1. Fetal distress or malpresentation. If the baby is not in the right position for vaginal birth or is experiencing distress, a C-section may be necessary. 2. Maternal health concerns. Certain maternal health conditions, such as high blood pressure, active genital herpes, or placenta previa may make vaginal delivery unsafe for the mother or baby. 3. Failed induction. If induction of labor is attempted but fails to progress, or if the mother is not a good candidate for induction, a C-section may be necessary. The procedure itself typically involves making an incision in the lower abdomen and uterus, allowing the baby to be safely delivered, and then closing the incisions with sutures or staples. Recovery from a C-section may take longer than recovery from a vaginal delivery, and the mother may experience pain, discomfort, and difficulty caring for herself and her baby in the days and weeks following the surgery. However, a C-section is a common and safe procedure, and it can be life-saving for both the mother and baby in certain situations. Artificial insemination AI. Artificial insemination AI is a fertility treatment in which sperm is introduced into a woman's reproductive system through artificial means, rather than through sexual intercourse. There are two main types of artificial insemination. 1. Intrauterine insemination IUI. In this procedure, sperm is collected and concentrated, and then introduced into the uterus using a catheter. This method can be used with the woman's natural cycle, or in conjunction with fertility medications to enhance the chance of pregnancy. 2. In vitro fertilization IVF. IVF involves the removal of eggs from the woman's ovaries, which are then fertilized with sperm in a laboratory. The resulting embryos are then transferred back into the woman's uterus. Artificial insemination can be a viable fertility treatment option for couples experiencing male factor infertility, unexplained infertility or subfertility, cervical factor infertility, or certain types of female infertility. The procedure is generally safe, but it does carry certain risks, such as infection, cramping, and bleeding. As with any medical procedure, it is important for couples considering artificial insemination to talk with their healthcare provider to determine if the treatment is right for them. Advantages of artificial insemination. Artificial insemination AI has several advantages as a fertility treatment, including 1. Increased chance of pregnancy. AI can increase the chances of pregnancy for couples struggling with infertility due to issues such as reduced sperm count, difficulty with ovulation, or cervical factor infertility. 2. Non-invasive procedure. AI is a non-invasive procedure that does not require surgery or other invasive medical intervention. 3. Controlled timing. AI allows for more control over the timing of conception, which can be particularly useful for couples with busy schedules or those who are trying to coordinate with other life events. 4. Donor options. AI can provide couples with access to sperm donors or surrogates, which may not be possible in natural conception. 5. Reduced risk of disease transmission. The use of AI can reduce the risk of sexually transmitted infections and other diseases that can be transmitted through sexual intercourse. Overall, AI can be a safe and effective fertility treatment option for couples struggling with infertility, and it can help couples achieve their goals of starting or expanding their families. Importance of artificial insemination in man. Artificial insemination can be an important option for men who are struggling with infertility or reproductive issues. Some of the key reasons why artificial insemination may be important for men include 1. Low sperm count. Men with a low sperm count may struggle to conceive naturally. Artificial insemination can be used to increase the chances of pregnancy by concentrating the sperm and placing it directly into the woman's reproductive system. 2. Mobility issues. Men with sperm that have mobility issues may also struggle to conceive naturally. AI can be used to bypass these issues by placing the sperm closer to the egg for fertilization. 3. Ejaculation problems. Men who have difficulty with ejaculation, whether due to physical or psychological factors, may also benefit from artificial insemination. This can allow them to realize their dream of having a family. 4. Genetic issues. Men who carry genetic issues that may be passed on to their offspring, such as cystic fibrosis or sickle cell anemia, may also choose to use artificial insemination to conceive. This can be done using donor sperm that does not carry the genetic issue. In general, artificial insemination can provide hope and options for men who are experiencing fertility issues, and it can help them to achieve their goal of starting or expanding their families. Test tube babies. Test tube babies is a term used to describe babies who are conceived through the process of in vitro fertilization (IVF). IVF involves fertilizing an egg outside of the body in a laboratory dish, hence the description test tube. Once the egg is fertilized, it is then transferred back to the woman's uterus where it will hopefully implant and develop into a pregnancy. IVF has been used successfully for over 40 years and has helped many couples who were struggling with infertility conceive and have children. The process of IVF can also be used to help prevent genetic diseases from being passed on to offspring by selecting embryos that do not carry the disease before they are implanted. While the term test tube baby is still used occasionally, it is somewhat outdated and inaccurate as the entire process of IVF happens in a laboratory dish rather than a test tube. However, the term has become synonymous with IVF and is still used by some people to describe babies conceived through this method. Surrogate mothers. A surrogate mother is a woman who carries a pregnancy and gives birth to a child with the intention of giving the child to another person or couple to raise. Surrogacy is an option for individuals or couples who are unable to conceive or carry a child on their own, and it can also be used in cases where one or both partners has a medical condition that makes pregnancy unsafe. There are two types of surrogacy: traditional and gestational. In traditional surrogacy, the surrogate mother's own eggs are used, which are fertilized by the intended father's sperm through artificial insemination. In gestational surrogacy, the surrogate mother carries an embryo that has been created using eggs and sperm from the intended parents or donors, a process that is typically done through in vitro fertilization (IVF). Surrogacy is a complex and often emotionally charged process that requires a lot of legal and medical considerations. In many countries, the laws surrounding surrogacy are complex and vary significantly, with some countries prohibiting it entirely or only allowing certain types of surrogacy arrangements. It is important to note that surrogate mothers provide a valuable service to those who are unable to conceive or carry a pregnancy on their own, and their efforts are often greatly appreciated by the intended parents. However, it is important that all parties involved in a surrogacy arrangement fully understand the legal and emotional implications of the process before moving forward. Fertility drugs. Fertility drugs are medications that are used to increase a person's chances of becoming pregnant. These drugs work by affecting the hormones that regulate the reproductive system, either by stimulating ovulation or by regulating the menstrual cycle. There are several different types of fertility drugs, including 1. Clomiphene citrate. This drug is used to treat ovulatory disorders and encourages the release of hormones that help stimulate ovulation. 2. Gonadotropins. These drugs are used to stimulate the ovaries to produce more eggs and can be given through injections or nasal sprays. 3. Metformin. This medication is primarily used to treat insulin resistance in women with polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, but it also has an effect on the menstrual cycle and can improve fertility in some women with this condition. 4. Bromocriptine. This drug is used to treat ovulatory disorders caused by high levels of prolactin, a hormone that can interfere with ovulation. 5. Letrozole. This medication is primarily used to treat breast cancer, but it can also stimulate ovulation and is sometimes used off-label to treat infertility. Fertility drugs can be highly effective in helping people who are struggling to conceive, but they do come with risks and potential side effects, including multiple pregnancies, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, OHSS, and birth defects. It is important for anyone considering fertility drugs to work closely with their doctor to understand the potential risks and to carefully follow the prescribed dosage and administration instructions. Revision exercise. 1. State the functions of the following. A. Sertoli cells. B. Seminiferous tubules. Sertoli cells are specialized cells found in the testes of males that play important roles in the production of sperm. They provide structural support for developing sperm cells, nourish them by providing nutrients and other essential factors, remove excess or damaged cells, and facilitate the movement of sperm through the seminiferous tubules. They also produce hormones that regulate sperm production and other aspects of male sexual development. Seminiferous tubules are tiny, coiled tubes found within the testes that are responsible for producing and transporting sperm. They contain specialized cells called Sertoli cells that support and nourish developing sperm cells as they go through the process of spermatogenesis. The tubules also contain Leydig cells, which produce testosterone, a hormone that is involved in male sexual development and the regulation of sperm production. Together, these cells and structures form the basis for the male reproductive system and play a critical role in male fertility. 2. What is the role of hormones in the menstrual cycle? Hormones play a critical role in the menstrual cycle, which is the monthly reproductive cycle that occurs in females of reproductive age. The key hormones involved in the menstrual cycle are estrogen, progesterone, follicle-stimulating hormone FSH, and luteinizing hormone LH. The menstrual cycle is divided into several phases, each of which is characterized by different hormonal changes and physiological events. During the follicular phase, FSH stimulates the growth and development of ovarian follicles, which contain immature eggs. As the follicles grow and mature, they produce increasing amounts of estrogen, which helps thicken the lining of the uterus in preparation for a possible pregnancy. Midway through the cycle, LH levels surge, triggering ovulation, which is the release of a mature egg from the ovary. Following ovulation, the empty follicle becomes the corpus luteum, which produces progesterone. Progesterone helps to further prepare the uterus for a possible pregnancy and supports the early stages of fetal development if fertilization occurs. If pregnancy does not occur, the levels of estrogen and progesterone decline, leading to the shedding of the uterine lining in a process known as menstruation. This marks the beginning of a new menstrual cycle. In summary, hormones regulate the menstrual cycle by coordinating the growth and maturation of ovarian follicles, triggering ovulation, preparing the uterus for pregnancy, and regulating menstruation. 3. Outline factors that may hinder fertilization in humans. Fertilization, the fusion of a sperm and an egg to form a zygote, is a critical event that is necessary for human reproduction. However, there are several factors that can hinder or prevent fertilization from occurring. These include 1. Low sperm count. If a man has a low sperm count or poor sperm motility, it can make it more difficult for sperm to reach and fertilize an egg. 2. Irregular ovulation. Women who have irregular menstrual cycles or who do not ovulate regularly may have a reduced chance of fertilization. 3. Hormonal imbalances. Imbalances in hormones such as estrogen, progesterone, or thyroid hormones can interfere with ovulation, and therefore fertilization. 4. Age. Women's fertility declines with age, and older women may have a reduced chance of fertilization due to a lower number of viable eggs or other age-related factors that can impact fertility. 5. Structural issues. Structural issues in the reproductive system, such as blocked fallopian tubes, fibroids, or abnormalities in the shape of the uterus, can make it more difficult for sperm to reach and fertilize an egg. 6. Lifestyle factors. Lifestyle factors such as smoking, excessive alcohol consumption, or a poor diet can also impact fertility and reduce the chances of fertilization. 7. Genetic issues. Certain genetic conditions, such as chromosomal abnormalities, can impact fertility and hinder fertilization. In summary, many factors can affect the chances of fertilization in humans, ranging from physiological and structural factors to lifestyle choices and genetic abnormalities. 4. Explain the drawbacks of artificial insemination. Artificial insemination (AI) is a type of assisted reproductive technology (ART) that involves the deliberate introduction of sperm into a woman's reproductive system with the goal of achieving fertilization. While AI has helped many couples overcome fertility challenges and achieve pregnancy, there are several drawbacks to the procedure, including 1. Limited success rates. The success rate of AI varies depending on factors such as the age of the woman, the quality of the sperm used, and any underlying fertility issues. In some cases, AI may not be successful in achieving pregnancy. 2. Risk of multiple pregnancies. AI may increase the risk of multiple pregnancies, which can pose significant health risks for both the mother and the babies. 3. Risk of infection. Because AI involves the introduction of sperm into the reproductive system, there is a risk of infection if proper precautions are not taken. 4. Psychological strain. Going through AI can be emotionally and psychologically taxing, particularly if the procedure is not successful and additional rounds of treatment are needed. 5. Ethical concerns. Some individuals and groups have raised ethical concerns about the use of AI, particularly with regards to the use of donor sperm and the potential for the commodification of human reproductive material. In summary, while artificial insemination can be an effective way to achieve pregnancy for couples struggling with infertility, there are several drawbacks to the procedure, including limited success rates, the risk of multiple pregnancies and infection, psychological strain, and ethical concerns. 5. What is the role of placenta during pregnancy? The placenta is an essential organ that develops during pregnancy and plays a crucial role in the health and development of the fetus. The placenta connects the developing fetus to the mother's uterine wall and performs several critical functions, including 1. Providing oxygen and nutrients. The placenta acts as a barrier between the maternal and fetal blood supply and allows for the exchange of oxygen and nutrients, which are crucial for the growth and development of the fetus. 2. Removing waste products. The placenta also helps remove waste products, such as carbon dioxide, from the fetal bloodstream. 3. Producing hormones. The placenta produces several hormones that are necessary for a healthy pregnancy, including human chorionic gonadotropin HCG, which helps maintain the pregnancy in the early stages, and progesterone, which supports the growth of the uterine lining and helps prepare the body for childbirth. 4. Providing immune support. The placenta also plays a role in the fetal immune system and can help protect the developing fetus from harmful pathogens. In summary, the placenta is a vital organ that performs several critical functions during pregnancy, including providing oxygen and nutrients to the developing fetus, removing waste products, producing essential hormones, and providing immune support.